The massive starship hung in Earth's orbit like a dark metallic mountain. Its shadow stretched across the Pacific Ocean, blocking sunlight and casting an ominous silhouette over coastal cities. Inside the United Earth Defense Center, Commander J. Park stood motionless, his dark eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the alien vessel's intricate design. Yuna Kim, the chief scientific advisor, adjusted her glasses and studied the incoming transmission data. The alien communication systems were unlike anything humanity had encountered before. Complex quantum encrypted signals that seemed to pulse with an almost living intelligence. "They're preparing to communicate," she whispered to Jay. Suddenly, the massive view screen flickered. A creature appeared, tall with pale gray skin and multiple eye stalks that moved independently. Its voice was a deep, resonant sound that seemed to vibrate through the communication systems. "Humans of Earth, we are the Zorn hegemony. Your planet has been selected for mandatory planetary tribute." The creature's translator rendered the words with clinical precision. Behind the alien commander, massive battleships could be seen, each one larger than entire Earth cities, bristling with weaponry that looked both beautiful and terrifying. Commander Park remained completely still. His training had prepared him for first contact scenarios, but nothing could truly prepare anyone for this moment. Decades of scientific speculation, countless movies and books about alien encounters, and now reality was unfolding before their eyes. "Your planetary resources, technological infrastructure, and biological diversity have been assessed," the alien continued. "You will provide 70% of your global resources, 50% of your population for labor recruitment, and complete submission to Zorn governance. Resistance is mathematically improbable." In the control room, hundreds of military and scientific personnel watched in stunned silence. Some personnel gripped their consoles. Others exchanged worried glances. The weight of the moment felt suffocating. Yuna Kim's fingers danced across her digital interface, collecting data, analyzing the transmission's quantum signatures. Her scientific mind was already mapping potential communication strategies, technological countermeasures. "Tribute requirements are non-negotiable," the alien commander stated. "You have precisely 72 Earth hours to prepare your initial submission. Failure to comply will result in immediate planetary devastation." Commander Park stepped forward. His voice was calm, almost casual, when he finally spoke. "We understand your communication," he said slowly. "And we have a response." The aliens' eye stalks twisted in what might have been confusion. No human had ever responded so neutrally to a Zorn ultimatum. Behind Park, massive screens began displaying complex mathematical calculations, technological schematics, and detailed planetary defense configurations. The Zorn commander's multiple eyes started rapidly shifting, trying to process the incoming visual data. What the alien didn't realize was that this was just the beginning. Humanity's response was being carefully crafted, not just as a defense but as a statement, a declaration that would echo through galactic history. The transmission continued, but something had fundamentally changed. The balance of power was not what the Zorn expected, and humanity was about to demonstrate why. In that moment, surrounded by advanced technology and brilliant minds, Commander J. Park allowed himself the smallest hint of a smile. The aliens thought they were delivering an ultimatum. Instead, they had just triggered something far more significant. The moment the alien transmission ended, Earth transformed. Every research facility, university laboratory, and military installation became a hive of intense activity. Sung Lee, the brilliant AI systems architect, worked without sleep, his fingers flying across holographic interfaces that seemed to breathe with computational energy. In a hidden underground facility beneath the Atacama Desert, scientists and engineers worked in perfect synchronization. Quantum computers hummed with unprecedented processing power. Advanced nanomaterial research that had been kept secret for years now moved from theoretical concepts to practical applications. Yuna Kim stood at the center of a massive circular room filled with floating holographic displays. Each screen showed different aspects of humanity's rapid technological acceleration. Weapon systems, energy shields, communication networks. Everything was being redesigned, reimagined, and rebuilt in a matter of hours. "We have exactly 72 hours," she told her team. "Every second counts." Global resources were redirected instantly. Manufacturing plants that once produced consumer electronics now churned out advanced defense components. Satellites were repurposed, communication networks were encrypted with quantum-level security, and every available computing resource was dedicated to strategic planning. In the Pacific Northwest, a massive underground facility awakened. Experimental. Fusion reactors that had been in development for decades suddenly became priority number one. These weren't just energy sources anymore. They were potential weapons of unprecedented power. Military bases around the world transformed. Soldiers, trained in new combat simulations developed by Sung Lee's AI systems. These weren't traditional war games. These were quantum-level strategic scenarios that could predict potential alien attack patterns with terrifying accuracy. Commander J. Park moved between command centers, coordinating global efforts. He understood that this wasn't just about defense. This was about sending a message to an alien civilization that thought humanity was weak. Space research facilities worked at impossible speeds. Prototype ships that had been years from completion were now being fast-tracked. Advanced propulsion systems previously kept under strict classification were being integrated into defensive platforms. In Tokyo, a team of young engineers developed a revolutionary nanoshield technology, microscopic robots that could reconfigure themselves instantly, capable of adapting to unknown energy signatures and defensive requirements. What would have taken years was now being completed in hours. Genetic researchers began exploring rapid human enhancement protocols, not for creating super soldiers, but for improving human resilience, adaptability, and cognitive capabilities. Every potential advantage was being explored. Sung Lee's AI systems began running millions of potential scenarios every second. Each simulation mapped out potential alien attack strategies, human defensive capabilities, and technological countermeasures. The computational power was beyond anything the aliens could imagine. "We're not just preparing to defend," Yuna Kim said during a global conference broadcast. "We're preparing to demonstrate humanity's true potential." Global resources that once seemed limited now appeared infinite. Economic systems were temporarily suspended. Every nation, every corporation, every research institution was now working towards a single goal: planetary defense and survival. Military satellites were repositioned. Communication networks were encrypted with technologies that would make the aliens' transmission systems look primitive. Underground facilities became interconnected through quantum communication channels that could not be intercepted. Commander Park reviewed the initial preparations. What had started as a potential extinction-level threat was now becoming humanity's moment of transformation. The aliens had made a critical mistake. They had underestimated human potential. As the 72-hour countdown continued, something remarkable was happening. Humanity wasn't just preparing for a potential conflict. They were evolving, adapting, becoming something entirely new. The Zorn thought they were delivering an ultimatum. Instead, they had lit the spark of humanity's greatest evolutionary leap. The first wave of Zorn ships approached Earth like a metallic storm. Hundreds of vessels, each larger than modern cities, filled the upper atmosphere. Their weapons systems glowed with an eerie blue-green light, preparing to unleash destruction. Commander J. Park watched from the Earth Defense Control Center. His hand rested lightly on the central communication console, completely calm despite the massive alien fleet approaching. "Incoming attack formation," a young technician reported, her voice steady but tense. Sung Lee's quantum AI system had been waiting. Milliseconds before the first Zorn weapon could fire, Earth's defensive network activated. It wasn't just a defense system. It was a living, thinking technological organism, quantum-entangled weapon. Platforms emerged from hidden positions. Some rose from ocean depths, others dropped from high-altitude platforms. They moved with a precision that seemed almost supernatural. No human pilot controlled these systems. They were pure computational intelligence. The first Zorn energy weapons fired. Massive plasma bursts that could vaporize entire continents streaked towards Earth. But something unexpected happened. The weapons simply disappeared. Quantum shield systems absorbed the energy, redirected it, and transformed the incoming attacks into harmless light displays. It was like watching someone try to punch through a mirror, only to find their fist redirecting. Back at them, Krell, the Zorn fleet commander, watched in absolute disbelief. His multiple eye stalks twisted in confusion. This was impossible. No civilization could defend against a full Zorn assault. No species had ever survived their first contact attack. Earth's defensive platforms began their counterattack. But these weren't traditional weapons. Each projectile was a complex quantum-encoded system that could adapt, think, and reconfigure mid-flight. The first Zorn ships started to dissolve, not explode, not break apart, simply deconstruct. Their advanced technological systems were being systematically dismantled by intelligent weapons that understood their fundamental structure better than they understood themselves. Targeting complete, the AI system announced in a calm, almost pleasant voice. Within minutes, the first wave of the Zorn invasion had been completely neutralized. Thousands of ships, reduced to nothing more than floating debris and quantum-encoded data streams. Yuna Kim watched the holographic displays, her scientific mind analyzing every millisecond of the engagement. "They never considered we might be different," she muttered. Krell's communication system suddenly crackled to life. The transmission was clear, direct, almost casual. "Your first wave is neutralized," Commander Park's voice stated. "We suggest reconsidering your approach." The Zorn fleet commander couldn't process what had just happened. No species had ever survived a first contact attack. No civilization had ever completely destroyed a Zorn invasion force without losing a single defensive unit. More shocking was how quickly it had happened. The entire engagement lasted less than 12 minutes. Earth's defensive platforms began collecting data, analyzing the Zorn ship fragments. Each piece of alien technology was being studied, understood, potentially adapted for future use. In orbital stations, in underground facilities, in research centers around the planet, humanity watched and waited. This wasn't just a defense. This was a message. The quantum AI systems began broadcasting a simple transmission across multiple galactic frequencies. No threats, no declarations of war. Just a simple, clear message. "We suggest you reconsider." Krell realized something fundamental in that moment. The Zorn hadn't discovered a potential conquest. They had awakened something far more dangerous, species that was not just willing to defend itself, but capable of doing so with a level of technological sophistication that the Zorn couldn't even comprehend. The first confrontation was over, and humanity had just changed the rules of galactic engagement forever. The Zorn communication networks erupted with chaos. Thousands of transmission channels buzzed with confusion, panic, and disbelief. What had just happened defied every historical record of first contact in their civilization's history. Sung Lee's quantum AI system began a calculated psychological assault. It wasn't about destruction anymore. It was about breaking the Zorn's collective mental framework. Detailed holographic war simulations began broadcasting across multiple galactic frequencies. These weren't just simple projections. They were mathematically precise demonstrations of humanity's potential total destruction capabilities. Each transmission showed scenarios more terrifying than the last. Planetary deconstruction models, quantum, weapon potential, adaptive technological systems that could transform entire solar systems into defensive platforms in moments. The simulations weren't just showing what humans could do. They were demonstrating what humans might do if truly provoked. Krell watched these transmissions with growing horror. His multiple eye stalks twisted in a biological representation of pure psychological terror. These humans weren't just defending. They were systematically dismantling the Zorn's entire concept of galactic dominance. Yuna Kim designed each transmission with scientific precision. Every visual, every mathematical calculation was a psychological weapon more powerful than any physical weapon. She understood that true warfare happened in the mind first. "We're not threatening," Commander J. Park explained during a global broadcast. "We're simply providing information." The information was devastating. Quantum simulations showed how humanity could potentially neutralize entire Zorn planetary systems without losing a single human life. Technological projections demonstrated adaptive defense mechanisms that could turn any attack into a complete system failure for the attackers. Zorn communication networks began to fragment. Panic spread through their military and political structures. This wasn't just an unexpected resistance. This was a complete destruction of their fundamental understanding of galactic power dynamics. Research facilities around Earth worked continuously. Every piece of captured Zorn technology was being studied, understood, potentially adapted. What the aliens thought was an invasion was becoming the most comprehensive technological study in galactic history. The psychological warfare had multiple layers. It wasn't just about showing potential destruction. It was about demonstrating a level of technological and strategic thinking that the Zorn had never encountered. Military bases worldwide remained calm. Soldiers trained in new quantum-level combat simulations. Space research facilities continued developing prototype defensive platforms. Everything moved with calculated, cold efficiency. Sung Lee's AI systems continued broadcasting. Each transmission was a carefully crafted message. Humanity was not just surviving. Humanity was evolving. The Zorn began receiving reports from their initial invasion force, not reports of destruction, but reports of complete technological neutralization. Their most advanced ships had been systematically dismantled without a single human casualty. Krell's communication team attempted to send reinforcement waves, but each transmission was immediately intercepted, analyzed, and effectively neutralized by Earth's quantum communication systems. "Flee now" became the simple, repeated message across galactic channels. No threats, no declarations of war, just a calm, mathematical demonstration of potential consequences. The psychological impact was more devastating than any physical weapon. The Zorn were experiencing something they had never encountered in centuries of galactic conquest, a species that was not just resistant, but fundamentally uncontrollable. Humanity wasn't just defending. They were rewriting the rules of galactic engagement. Each transmission, each simulation, each carefully crafted message carried a simple underlying truth. The humans were not just prepared to survive. They were prepared to transform the entire concept of interstellar conflict. And the Zorn were beginning to understand that they had made a terrible mistake. The psychological warfare had begun, and humanity was just getting started. The final Zorn fleet approached Earth like a wounded beast, desperate and angry. Thousands of ships stretched across the solar system, their weapons charged with enough energy to destroy entire planets. Krell, the fleet commander, was determined to make humanity pay for their previous humiliation. Commander J. Park watched the incoming fleet with calm precision. Around him, the Earth Defense Control Center hummed with quiet intensity. Yuna Kim and Sung Lee stood nearby, their systems ready to activate the most advanced defensive network in galactic history. "Incoming attack," a young technician reported, her voice steady. The first wave of Zorn ships unleashed their primary weapon systems. Massive energy bursts that could melt continents, destroy entire cities in milliseconds. But something extraordinary happened. The weapons simply dissolved. Earth's planetary defense network wasn't just a shield. It was a living, thinking technological organism. Quantum-level systems that could predict, adapt, and neutralize threats before they even fully formed. Prototype defense platforms emerged from hidden locations. Some rose from deep ocean trenches. Others dropped from high-altitude positions. They moved with a precision that seemed almost supernatural. No human pilot controlled these systems. They were pure computational intelligence. The Zorn ships began to fall apart. Not explode, not break dramatically. They simply disintegrated. Complex technological systems were being systematically taken apart by weapons that understood their fundamental structure better than they understood themselves. Krell watched in total disbelief, his multiple eye stalks twisted in pure horror. This was impossible. No civilization had ever survived a full Zorn assault. No species had ever completely neutralized their invasion force. Sung Lee's quantum AI systems ran millions of defensive scenarios every second. Each Zorn ship was analyzed, its potential threat calculated and neutralized before it could pose any real danger. It was like watching a complex mathematical equation solve itself in real time. The planetary defense became a dance of technological precision. Energy weapons redirected, shield systems that could absorb and transform incoming attacks, adaptive platforms that could reconfigure themselves faster than the Zorn could comprehend. Yuna Kim monitored the systems, her scientific mind calculating every potential outcome. "They never considered we might be different," she muttered, watching the systematic destruction of the alien fleet. Within 30 minutes, the entire Zorn invasion force had been completely neutralized. Thousands of ships reduced to nothing more than floating quantum-encoded data streams and microscopic debris. A simple transmission began broadcasting across multiple galactic frequencies. No threats, no dramatic declarations, just a calm, clear message. "We suggest you reconsider future interactions." The solar system around Earth remained perfectly calm. No damage, no casualties, just a complete systematic neutralization of an entire invasion force. Krell's communication systems went silent. The Zorn command structure began to fragment. Their entire understanding of galactic conquest had been destroyed in less than an hour. Commander Park watched the final moments of the invasion with a sense of calm determination. This wasn't just a defense. This was a fundamental redefinition of humanity's place in the universe. The prototype defense platforms began collecting data. Every piece of alien technology was being studied, understood, potentially adapted for future use. What the aliens thought was an invasion had become the most comprehensive technological study in galactic history. As the last Zorn ship fragments drifted into space, a clear message had been sent. Humanity was not just a potential conquest. Humanity was a species that could fundamentally change the rules of galactic engagement. The decisive moment had arrived, and the universe would never be the same again.